Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we have some pretty big Battlefield 2025 news to go over. So apparently, playtest invites for the new game, have already gone out and are going to begin as early as next week. We also might have a pretty big announcement coming from DICE and EA about the new game that should coincide with the EA investors call. So let's just jump into all of this in a second, but as always, if you guys do enjoy the content here on the channel, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any future videos. And as always guys, thank you so much for your support here on the channel, really means a lot, so cheers for that. So apparently what we're hearing is that select content creators and the community members have already received invites for the new Battlefield playtest that could begin as early as next week. This is, as I've already said, been reported on by Insider Gaming, and I will link the entire article down below if you guys want to check it out. But it's also been corroborated by Danny on PC. Now, he has obviously a bunch of old content creator friends on Twitter, and apparently one of them accidentally tweeted that they had been invited to the playtest, and once they realized their mistake, they quickly removed the tweet, and Danny didn't want to say who it was to protect them, which I completely understand. But that, along with Insider Gaming reporting and getting from their insider sources the exact same piece of news, probably means that this could be true. Now, who's actually getting invited to these tests? Well, if you're somebody who has frantically gone over to the EA website and you've signed up for the playtesting, I wouldn't run and check your inbox just yet. I don't think they're inviting people willy-nilly, but according to Insider Gaming, it's content creators and it's community people, whatever that means. Now, I can tell you guys that I have not been invited to this test. Those of you who know the history between me and EA and what happened there, you know, it doesn't surprise me at all. After all of that stuff went down, I pretty much just accepted that I'm never ever going to be involved with anything with EA again. I don't know if that's going to change going into the next Battlefield game, if they're going to have a new slate when it comes to the community, because one of the major downfalls I feel of the last game of Battlefield 2042 was that they only really collaborated with content creators who were like yes men, who didn't really have anything negative to say about the game, and if you did, and I was certainly one of those people, they didn't really want to, you know, do anything with you or have anything to do with you, so I think they were more than happy to get rid of me, to be honest with you. But who knows, we'll see what happens moving forward here, because we also saw over on Twitter the other day that David Serlin chimed in on Ender's post. Now, for those of you who watch Ender's channel, and I know a bunch of you guys do, he is probably like the most outspoken person. He often says things that are considered quite outrageous. He doesn't really sugarcoat things, and both his community and EA and DICE, I think, can find him a little bit abrasive at some points, and I think he's sort of in the same boat there. He's never ever surprised that he doesn't get invited to any of these insider things for content creators, even though he's sort of growing to be like one of the bigger boys in that regard. But the other day he tweeted saying, I always find it like laughable when people ask me if I've been invited to test the next Battlefield game, because like why would EA and DICE invite me? But David Serland, who is of course the mastermind really behind the community's test environment and largely credited with fixing Battlefield 4, he replied to Enders and he said, I wouldn't count all your chickens on that one just yet. And bear in mind, he is also, I believe, the lead producer on the new Battlefield game. So, you know, what David says does carry a certain amount of weight to it. And what he's essentially saying here is, just wait it out, Enders. Maybe we will end up inviting you. So who knows? Maybe if Enders is getting invited, perhaps I will as well. As for you guys, I know a lot of you are hoping that you will get invited to some of these tests as well. And if you haven't already, I would recommend going and signing up on the EA playtesting website. But at this stage, I don't really think they're going to just select a random pool of players to test the game. I think there's far too much likelihood that something gets leaked from there. There is a reason that they generally select content creators and other community people to test the game, and the reason is that they've got something to lose. You don't really want to break NDAs, because then you're burning your bridges with companies. Generally, if you do it once, that's it, you're out, you're never going to be back in there again. And I've been in a bunch of different playtests for several different games over the lifespan of Battlefield 2042, with content creators, there's always like a Discord and whatnot, people discussing the game. You're not allowed to break the NDA, and I have never seen the NDA be broken yet. So I think in general, people do stick to this. If they were to just invite, like, let's say 5,000 random people from their pool of EA playtesters that have signed up on their website, there is a pretty good chance that somebody will post screenshots. They could simply blur out the watermarks, they could post gameplay, even at the risk of getting their account banned or something like that, because let's face it, they don't really have anything to lose, right? They're not really affiliated with DICE and EA in any way. I completely understand for people, they feel a bit annoyed that only content creators and other community people get to test these games, but I don't know what to tell you guys, that's just sort of the way that it works. So if I've not been invited, a lot of you guys probably haven't been invited either. Who has been invited? Well, it could very well be a lot of the bigger YouTubers like JackFrags, who used to make much more Battlefield content back in the day, and they've since stepped in large part away from Battlefield because I guess Battlefield 2042 really wasn't pulling in the views for them. And so I think this time around, EA definitely want to try and entice those larger content creators back in to start making content about the next game. That being said though, this is not a marketing beta. This is not like, let's get the biggest YouTubers out there to play our game so that we get the most amount of exposure. This is just about giving feedback. So I would love nothing more than to have my shot at this and give some feedback, especially on the vehicles, because that was really a side of Battlefield 2042 where I felt the vehicle community were let down. It really didn't hold a candle to Battlefield 4's vehicles, and I would love to see it go much more in that direction. I think David is also on board here as well, but who knows, I guess time will tell, guys. So these playtests could be beginning as early as next week, and this also coincides with the EA Investors Call. So that is happening on Tuesday evening for me in Europe. I guess it's earlier in the day if you live in the US, and this is basically where EA give their investors their plan for how they're going to make a bunch of money. And this could very easily coincide with some sort of an announcement about the next Battlefield game directly from EA to sort of show them, hey, this is what we're working on, and this is how we're going to make you millions and millions of dollars. Last time we really heard some solid information about the new Battlefield game, I believe it came via an article from IGN and Vince Zampella, where they confirmed several things: that the game was going to be 64 players, that they were going back to their roots, it was going to be modern, they were going to be getting rid of the specialists, etc. But they didn't really show us anything outside of a piece of concept art. And back then, that also, I believe, coincided with one of the EA Investors Call, and then it was quickly followed up by the EA Investors Day. So I don't think an announcement next week is totally out of the realm of possibility here. Now, the fact that playtesting is actually getting going really has me quite optimistic about how the game is going to progress, because what that means is that the game is prepared to be put into players' hands and tested, and we're only just now into February. If the game is going to come out later this year, around October or November, as we're suspecting, then that gives them a pretty large window for improvement to take any feedback from the players and the people who are testing it on board, iterate on the game, and then improve it. I'm not saying you should by any means go out and pre-order the game. In fact, I would strongly advise against that, but this is definitely a good sign, I believe. Now, outside of that, you can also completely expect that some people may leak the game. It was not so late in the year of 2021, before Battlefield 2042 launched, that we got leaks from the game. As I've already mentioned, most of the people invited will almost certainly have something to lose, right? They're content creators or they're community members who don't want to lose their position within the Battlefield community, let's say. So it's unlikely that they will leak something. But from Battlefield 2042, I think the person who leaked it was literally like an insider person working at DICE, and they just essentially made a recording of their monitor. It was showing a trailer, and all of that stuff ended up being true. It was actually of the game. So it's quite possible that we do see something like that happen next week, or maybe in the near future, as things do start to ramp up here on the playtesting department. How many playtests are they going to have? Like, how long are they going to last for? Are they going to start ramping them up and inviting more and more people? I really have no idea. But as DICE have said, what a time to be alive. Anyway, I will leave it at that, guys. Definitely interesting times ahead. Like I always say at the end of all of these Battlefield 2025, Battlefield 6 videos, I'm trying to stay slightly optimistic here, but also not get my hopes up. I'm not trying to get too hyped about it either, because there is every possibility that this game is a massive failure, just like the past couple of Battlefield games. As always, the proof is in the pudding. I will believe it when I see it, and I would advise all of you guys to act much the same way. As always though, leave me your thoughts and comments down below, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more Battlefield, and I will see you all in the next one.